It is Sportskeeda Wrestling's top story today. Seth Rollins reacts to the new WWE signee, Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson. He's calling him the best wrestler in the world, joining the best company in the world. We're going to talk about it. Plus, AEW Dynamite beats WWE Raw in the key 18 to 49 demographic. And we got some news on Adam Cole's supposed position we was going to do if he stayed in WWE. We're going to talk all about this and more on today's top story.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.
What up, everyone? How you guys doing? It is today's Sportskeeda Wrestling's top story. I'm Jose G. Next to me is Jeremy Bennett. Guys, today we got tons to talk about, a lot of news stories, but the big one today, Gable Steveson, Olympic gold medalist, making his mark not only around the world, but today making his mark in the WWE, signing a contract with the company. This news was actually broken earlier today by ESPN. What can you tell us about this story, Jeremy? Everybody's talking about this right now.
Yeah, it says that Steveson will join the WWE while defending his NCAA title for the University of Minnesota. Of course, he won the national championship with them in 2021. So it's going to be kind of interesting that he is under contract for WWE, but still going to wrestle for Minnesota. Obviously, it's going to take some time under the Performance Center for him to kind of get going as a professional wrestler. At the same time, it's kind of interesting how Minnesota's okay with it, but with the whole NIL deals, it enables collegiate athletes to be able to make money. And so this is a kind of a way that enables him to do both at the same time. He had also put on Twitter after this was announced, childhood dream accomplished. I've officially signed with WWE. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's work. So it's pretty interesting. I think the NIL is a big thing here that is coming to play with him being able to be a collegiate wrestler still and then train at the Performance Center.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, too, is that not only he's going to be able to do that, but I think that he's also going to be having some training sessions while he's over there in college, while he graduates. And after he's done, then he's going to come down over here to Orlando. So the guy's got it in, and rightfully so. The guy's an Olympic gold medalist. But what's interesting about this, too, is one of WWE's top guys, Seth Rollins, he reacted to this story. And it was funny enough because he went out. And you know how everybody, when they sign with WWE, is like, oh, this guy is all elite. Well, in this case, he said, Gable is WWE. He says, quote, in his tweet, best wrestler in the world coming to the best wrestling company in the world. Love to see it. Gable Steveson is WWE.
It's no doubt that Seth Rollins is a company guy. He does not shy away from that on Twitter. So, but pretty cool for him to give Gable his props. Obviously, he had a big moment at WrestleMania as well. So he's probably already kind of built a rapport with some of the guys backstage, fully expecting to join WWE eventually. And, Nick Khan even said it. Talking with ESPN today, he said we all saw his physical ability prior to and at the Olympics, and what we also saw was that Gable has as much charisma as he does ability. Marketability and ability are both of great importance to us. This is just the starting line and nowhere close to the finish line, so our investment is based on how much we think Gable now and how much bigger we think he can become.
And I think, just by the looks of this guy, I'm just going to put up that thumbnail again. Look,
yeah,
the guy is jacked. The guy has the look. I think Gable can do very, very well in the future. He does have marketability, and it also helps that he's really good friends with Brock Lesnar, right?
Exactly. That doesn't hurt at all. And we got Matthew down here on the comments. What do you think the first storyline would be for Gable Steveson? The obvious thing is to either pit him up against or join Otis and Gable, but at the same time, you don't know how long it's going to take for him to progress. Yeah, to
It could
progress
take
through the
5 years.
performance center. Yeah,
It could
so
take 2 to 3 years. It just depends how quick he picks it up.
I mean, look how quick Kurt Angle picked up the business, and he became one of the best of all time and collected accolades at a rapid pace in his first year in the WWE. So maybe maybe the expectation is sooner rather than later, but you never know until you get the guys into the performance center and get them training. There's obvious storyline ties there, but hell, bring Kurt Angle back in and make him a manager. You got a gold medalist managing a gold medalist. That's money right there.
I think that works great. We got a question here from Victor Nash watching us on Facebook saying, so I guess WWE is going to sign the female gold wrestler too. Funny enough, my wife was just asking me about that because they both were featured in SummerSlam, and there were there were several talks about her. I completely forgot her name, but she had an amazing gold medalist match in the Olympics. And a lot of people were talking about her possibly signing with WWE. I don't know if
Tamara Mensah Stock.
Yeah, Tamara Mensah Stock. That's right, Tamara Mensah. So I don't know if they're going to sign her, but I wouldn't mind seeing her either. She's like legit. Like she would be the first black female Olympic gold medalist to be in the WWE. That is just astonishing in its own.
Yeah, I said WrestleMania because this was basically was their WrestleMania this year, so that's why it felt like a WrestleMania. They brought them in for a good reason. So I think they probably got eyes on her too. We just don't know yet. Obviously, Gable, there's been so much talk about him, not just amongst the pundits, but with just wrestlers in general. Overall, ever since he appeared at SummerSlam, so it was almost an inevitability there. We don't know if she wants to go that route, so time will tell.
Victor Nash again. He said he'd like to see the Hurt Business restarted with him, Lashley, and Keith Lee.
Hell yeah!
That's a powerhouse.
Let's throw in Ricochet too while we're at it.
Right, guys, if you're just tuning in, make sure you are hitting the subscribe button on our YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash that notification bell so you never ever miss when we drop new video content, live video, breaking news. That way you're always up to date. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you share tonight's live stream in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section so they can join in on the conversation. Our lead story today, Gable Steveson signs with WWE. Big news for the young upstart gold medalist. Had a hell of a performance in Tokyo. Let's see what happens in the future with Gable Steveson. But let's jump into our second story, which came out just a few hours ago. And this has to do with the ratings between AEW and WWE's Monday Night Raw. Now, they don't go head to head on the same nights. One's on Monday, one's on Wednesdays. But it should be noted that this week, because of All Out, because of everything that went down this weekend, AEW beat Monday Night Raw in the key demographic of 18 to 49-year-olds. Jeremy, what are the details on these numbers here?
Digging up some more numbers here because we didn't get everything here from Raw, so I was kind of pulling up Raw real quick. But Dynamite, just in general, we'll start with Dynamite. Big night, obviously, following the debuts of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, the in-ring debut of CM Punk with AEW. Obviously, that peaked viewership as 1.319 million viewers tuned in for the second highest Dynamite in history. Of course, the very first Dynamite, I believe, is the number one in that. But the key thing is the demographic, which, of course, is what the moneymaker is for these networks. And in the demographic, the very first time Dynamite has beat Raw in the 18 to 49 demo, they pulled in 681,000 viewers in that 18 to 49 demo, which comes in as a 0.53 rating. Raw pulled in 678,000 in the demo, so just 3,000 less, but still nonetheless a monumental victory for Dynamite. Raw's number figures out to a 0.52 in the demo, so they just barely edged them out. But I mean, we're talking about the flagship program of the WWE that's been around for 30 years. And this company being around only for a couple of years now, it's a monumental thing that they've already been able to do something like this. Albeit, can they continue that momentum? Who knows? I mean, it was a tremendous Dynamite last night from top to bottom. The 2 hours just flew by fast. But it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue that momentum. I would almost bet hard money that number is going to go down next week, but you never know.
Yeah, and I also think because Monday was Labor Day, it was a holiday. We had college football on. Football's back on TV. So I think that might have hurt a little bit in the rating.
They didn't go down that much though. Raw only dropped 50,000 viewers from last week. Now the key thing you just mentioned, football. Monday Night Football comes back this Monday, so that's going to be another anchor to weigh down Monday Night Raw, and possibly maybe Dynamite beats them for a second straight week if they can continue this momentum. Like I said, it was a tremendous show, so it'll be interesting to see if they captivate that audience.
Yeah, Tim Hardy here on Facebook's watching, saying good rating for AEW, but will it keep in that in a month or two? That's the real test. So if they can hold on to those numbers, I mean, hopefully they don't have to keep digging into their back pocket and bringing new people every single week in order to get these numbers. Yeah,
if we look at big picture, 7 of the last 9 weeks have been over 1 million for Dynamite. The 2 weeks that weren't over 1 million, they were off by about 25,000. So they have been pushing that million mark ever since middle of July.
Gotcha, man. Well, we just got to keep an eye on these numbers, especially they just came out of one of the most historic weeks in professional wrestling. That is to their advantage, and they capitalized on it. We saw it not only trending on social media over the weekend, but it's notable in the key demographic ratings. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on it now that AEW is truly up there. It's red, it's white hot right now. It's real white hot.
Yeah, and more more surprises yet to come. Kevin Owens clearly, unless unless him and the Young Bucks
about that now. Yeah,
unless him and the Young Bucks are teasing us, they're basically letting you know that he's coming.
yeah, especially since the news broke out, I think a few days ago, that a lot of officials backstage aren't very happy with the whole contract situation, especially a lot of them feel like they kind of just fell asleep at the wheel with all these contracts, with the whole Adam Cole situation, with the Malachi Black situation. Now a lot of these contracts have been renegotiated due to COVID, and Kevin Owens was originally supposed to leave the company in 2023, but now that contract's been backed up to January 2022. So, that tease that he put on for 5 minutes and took it off 5 minutes later, the coordinates of Mount Rushmore is very, very telling.
And now his location is almost there. It says almost there. You have your location is your city and state usually. It says almost there. Oh, what does the Young Bucks say? It says there. So they're basically telling you it's coming. So I saw in the comments there, Dynamite should go to 3 hours. Never going to happen. Tony Khan has been adamant against it and does not. That'll never happen. Rampage will go to 2 hours before Dynamite goes to 3.
Guys, a lot of stuff going on here in the world of wrestling, man. But make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, liking, and engaging with the show. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you guys think of these stories. We do have one more interesting story here before we close out the top story for today, and that has to do with Adam Cole. Earlier today, the good old Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, told us that the original plan for Adam Cole was to be a manager for Keith Lee, almost like in the capacity that Leo Rush was with Bobby Lashley. What was your take on this when you first heard about the news, and what are some more details that you can tell us about this? If
this is true, I am totally not surprised that Adam Cole decided to leave. If that is what they had for him on the main roster, let's just compare. Leo Rush was awesome on the mic, but how many times did you see him in the ring? And then he was gone. So this just said to me, they weren't really, you never know what's going to happen, what the storylines were going to go and how this was going to turn out. But if this was a similar type of situation, the writing was pretty much on the wall that there was really nothing strong behind the push for Adam Cole on the main roster, and I was afraid of that from the get-go if he would ever leave NXT. So I think this idea is ridiculous. I almost liken it to maybe, if WWE was just trying to prevent him from wrestling, kind of like what they did, according to Kurt Angle, what they did with Taz back in the day, and put him behind the broadcasting booth. And they did that with Macho Man too back in the 90s. This just reeks, and it
really does.
Not a good idea. And if this is true, no wonder he left, because who knows if he would have been even wrestling, because Leo Rush didn't in this situation either.
Yeah, and again, sometimes what happens here when these type of news articles come out, I've known in the past that the company will feed some BS stories today, Dave Meltzer, and he's completely wrong in some of these stories.
That's happened.
So it could very well be a bogus story. Who knows? But the fact of the matter that Vince McMahon would want to have Adam Cole as a manager for a big guy, it doesn't surprise me, because it's something he would do,
Yeah.
And that is just the biggest misuse of talent. If Adam Cole would have stayed, that would have been the biggest misuse of his talent, of what he can really do in a ring, not only as a performer, but as a talker, doing promos, just doing anything. He would have been completely misused. He probably would have killed it on the mic every single week, hyping up Keith Lee. But Keith Lee doesn't need a hype, man.
No.
Keith Lee does very well for himself. Keith Lee can perform in the ring and talk on the mic. Just give him that opportunity. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, there were, there's so many other things you could do with Adam Cole. I mean, basically, I've said it on here before, he's basically this generation's Shawn Michaels, and should have been treated as such on the main roster. And it almost felt like that it was going to be that way. For the longest time, I was, totally against him going to the main roster. But then we got all these things coming up with Vince McMahon meeting with him, Vince McMahon wanting to keep him. It made me feel like that there was going to be a push, maybe an AJ Styles like push, because AJ Styles can sell the merch. He's a smaller guy, but he can sell the merch, and he can drive money for the WWE. Adam Cole could do exactly that. So I started feeling a little better if he was going to stay, but then you see stuff like this, and it's like, well, God, glad he went to AEW, because it's going to be fun seeing him on BTE again. If you haven't seen the early episodes of BTE, Adam Cole on there's some good stuff in those first 50 episodes. So it's going to be fun having him on BTE again. I mean, that match with Kazarian's going to be a killer match, because Kazarian's really reinvented himself since the decimation of SCU. So and I think still, though, the driving force for Cole going was, I think, the Twitch channel. I think that was almost the driving force for him leaving.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that. I think it was just a culmination of a lot of different things. I think the Twitch was probably one of the primary things, now that he's starting to make some money off of that. And, they have that whole third party situation in WWE. I can totally understand how, you go from building a brand and building a channel and building a community. That takes a lot of time, man. I know from previous experience, from my previous show, it takes a lot of time to build an audience. And for him to give that up, if he stayed in WWE, I mean, it's heartbreaking. So I understand what he's doing. Plus, you also got his best friends, some of his best friends in AEW.
Yeah.
So I think the choice is right. The fans are happy. Adam Cole looks happy. So thank God we don't have to see Adam Cole manage Keith Lee. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, if you ever watched Ring of Honor and some early Pro Wrestling Guerrilla with Mount Rushmore, I mean, get excited for adding Kevin Steen to the mix too, because it's just going to get even crazier. Because Steen is either going to become a babyface, or he's going to create maybe a heel faction with maybe like he had with Evil. There's so many better possibilities to do with Kevin Owens than having him as a talk show host. So,
absolutely.
There's
only so many KO shows you can do, and now that you had to mix in with Logan Paul, it just makes it so much worse.
Yeah. At least they're making him a heel now instead of making us try to cheer him, because that didn't work.
For real. Let's jump into some of these comments here, Jeremy, before we head out. Philip DeShiel is saying the worst idea ever, backs up that talk that Vince isn't keen on smaller guys. Right?
Yeah,
Right. It kind of does back it up.
And that's why NXT is getting retooled.
Let's see here. William Long's asking CM Punk versus Starks. What do you think?
Oh, hell yeah. I've been asking for that ever since Punk signed. That was one of my dream matches to see. And so it's going to be good to see that that's going to become a reality pretty soon. And he even called both him and Hobbs out. And I want to even, man, how about a debut of Hook against Punk, man? How about that for a first match for Hook? I don't know how close Hook is, but I think we're getting close to Hook getting in the mix. I think he's getting pretty close to getting ready.
So if I have to nitpick one little thing about last night when it comes to Punk and Ricky Starks, right?
Yeah.
I think the whole way how it was set up was sloppy, just from Taz interrupting, and he's like, "You better not put their names in your mouth." Like, okay, like we know this is gonna come up at some point. Now, that's the negative. The positive: Ricky Starks versus CM Punk. Ooh. That is huge. I love me some absolute Ricky Starks, and I think the chemistry that those two can do in the ring will be just something you've never seen before.
It's crazy how when NWA Power really started taking off and some of the guys that were on that roster and where they're at now, Ricky Starks, Thunder Rosa.
God. That's how I got on Ricky Starks. That's how I got on
Me
Thunder
too.
Rosa.
Me too.
NWA
Me too.
Power.
Yep.
Especially with that awesome 80s intro in season 1. Man,
yeah. Power was awesome, and then COVID had to screw it all up, and they still Empower was much better than NWA 73. They still have a lot of work to do and get gold off of Tyrus. He's terrible. Oh my God. But there were some positives. I enjoyed the Trevor Murdoch Nick Aldis match. I know a lot of people don't see Trevor Murdoch as a world champion, but he's perfect for the NWA. And but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with that company.
Yeah, agreed. I think has a lot of potential. I think since Billy Corgan took over NWA, it's seen a better light of day. I just think that
they just got decimated because they couldn't do shows, and then all their best talent went elsewhere. I mean, now you got Ziggy Dice is now on
They got to get paid.
Ziggy Dice is now on Impact. I kind of started liking him when he was on there, and there's others that are but so it's going to be it's probably going to be a little more of a longer period to build things back up and try to build some new stars. But they did a great job before, so I don't see how they couldn't do it again.
Completely agree, 100%. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today's top story. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us here for just a little over 20 minutes. Just remember, tonight we have the Inside Cradle dropping at 8 p.m. on the Sports Keto Wrestling YouTube channel and Facebook page. So make sure you watch that. Rick Cucino and SP3 go on everything from All Out, everything that went down in the week, and all the latest news. So make sure you check out the Inside Cradle tonight at 8 p.m. here on the Sports Keto Wrestling YouTube channel and Facebook page. Also, make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Hit that subscribe button so that way you never, ever miss when we drop new content. Same thing on Facebook. Give us that follow. Set your defaults to see first. And also, share tonight's show. Put it in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section. Join the conversation. Let them know that you're talking to the best wrestling media brand on the internet. Sports Keto Wrestling. It's us. All right, guys? So make sure you do that. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow on Freestyle Friday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Kevin won't be joining us. Kevin is under the weather. He will be out for a few days. So we wish him a speedy recovery. But tomorrow, Jeremy and myself will be on the show. So that's it. All right. So as always, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, guys. The most important thing, which is what, Jeremy?
That means you got to enjoy that wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.